Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter-like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure. Beef loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host. He's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom. Cherezy E.
Thank you, Cornsey, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, beer, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beef Loaf says allegedly, or that he wrote a blog about that, you drink. If My Sock Summer doesn't know a player or mentions his time on the West Coast, you drink. If I swear or say here's the thing, you drink. And if any of our guests mention Juan Soto or nod off like Steve-O did, you drink. And remember, if you tip $1.08, we'll all drink.
Baby.
And it's $5 to shut up any of the 108ers. But you cannot shut up our guests, except for Ken W.O. You can shut him up for $50.
Wow. Wow. He's going to want to cut, though, too, that son of a bitch.
He is. I get 100%.
I'll give him $10 of it. I'll give him $10.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Everybody gets $10. Ken shuts up. Everyone gets $10. That's good. Good stuff.
And of course, if we get up to $100, My Sock Summer's going to shave it down to a mustache, right?
150.
$150?
Down in price. It was 150 last week. Now it's 100. Teresa's just trying to entice the audience.
So you got to make Ken shut up 3 times, and then we got My Sock Summer mustache.
My guy Gordo, he might be in the chat later. He might be in the chat now. I don't know. Gordo, if you're there, what's up? Thanks for buying bobbleheads from me. He included $15 extra on the bobbleheads. And I said, dude, it was only $35. Let me refund you some money. He's like, no. He's like, I bought you a drink, or I bought 5 mutes in the podcast. And I'm going to take the drink, and it's not 5 mutes. So thank you, Gordo, for leaving it up to me. But that's what's happening. So I'm going to have myself a nice, probably Jack and lemonade at the park tomorrow on Gordo.
Oh, wonderful.
Thanks, buddy.
Wonderful. I got a question for you guys.
God damn it. He's already got $100 he's going to throw in there to give me a mustache. That's son of a bitch.
I got a big question for you guys. What are you drinking?
Ooh.
My Sock Summer, what are you drinking, buddy?
So I'm continuing down the path of the stuff that Dougie Fresh gave me. I have the small batch 1792 bourbon that he gave me. It's a 93.7 proof. So I'm going to start the night off with that. I have had 2 sips without this, and then I'll move into 4 Roses small batch and a High West rye.
So wonderful.
That's my
High West rye. Like that. That sounds good. I might show up at your house tonight, drink the rest of it. Beef, what are you drinking, buddy?
You know, it's a Thursday, and I've been on a big roll with wine, but I'm not doing that tonight. We have guests. I got to act a little more polite. So I'm drinking tequila out of proper glassware.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'm just going to go down the tequila path all nice. I'm just sit here. This is just
it's a petri dish.
That's an ice. Is that like an ashtray?
It's a 1970s ashtray, yes.
That's what makes this taste delicious. Chorizo, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
I'm drinking a beautiful headache in a bottle. I'm drinking the Basil Hayden's Dark Rye. This is the one with the port. So yeah, I'm gonna feel great tonight. Feel horrible in the morning. Yes. Good luck, work.
Wait, I mean, that's how you want to go into a long weekend of tons of games. Yes, and heat.
In the heat. In the heat. So we'll see how it goes.
No doubt.
We'll go fine. I'm gonna start off on how I'm doing because I don't really give a shit how you guys are doing. But
okay.
Really, what I want to do that is because I want to talk about Minnesota because that was an awesome time. I want to just thank everybody who came out. Of course, got to thank Sox Machine Josh because he put together the whole trip. You know, when we come up with these ideas together, it's really we come up with the idea, we give a few comments. And then that dude just goes off and running and sets things up. And it's really awesome. And we appreciate it. So a big thank you to him. But also, like, everyone that came out. It was awesome. I was meeting people I had never met before. I talked to some people that didn't know what I looked like because they only listened to the podcast, right? Like, I was kind of surprised by that, but it was really cool. We're talking to a lot of people. And this one guy comes up to me and he walks. I don't remember his name, but he walks up to me and he goes, "Hey man, where's Beer Hand Luke? And I was like, oh, Beer Hand Luke. I like this. So I was publishing one of Luke's blogs the other day, and I almost changed his name all over it to Beer Hand Luke. And I was like, I should do this, but I don't think anyone would have got it. So now that I've told the story, I feel like I can do it every once in a while and get some fun there. But Beef, one other guy. Oh, cheers.
Time to drink. Gordo would like us to drink.
Thanks,
cheers,
Gordo.
Boys. Hit that.
Very generous, sir.
Absolutely, it sure is.
What's nice is I can see some of our guests drinking along with you guys. They're off screen right now, but they're holding up their end of the bargain. But Beef, I gotta say, the highlight of this trip for me was our guy Sam was there. Toucan Sam. So this is a guy that we grew up with. So he's like, I was the younger brother in kind of our friend group, you know, and then he's a little bit younger than me. So he and I, you know, were the two young kids, you know. So I always enjoyed hanging out with him, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. And we call him Toucan Sam because we would go out, and he was, like I said, he was much younger than us. So it didn't take a lot to get the guy drunk.
He would get fucked up quick.
So he came up to me and he's like, man, I had my 2 cans. I might not make it to the game, you know? And I'm laughing. And he was in great condition on Saturday. We're there on Saturday. He's in great condition. See him a couple times. Looks fantastic. I'm like, all right, well, it's great to see him. Great to he's looking so good. And then he starts tweeting at us on Sunday, and he's like, I should not have gone to that game on Sunday. It was a mess. And like the pictures are amazing, and I love it. And it was one of those things where you hadn't seen someone in a long time, and then you see him, and you're like, this guy's exactly the same. Like I've not missed a beat, It's our same guy from back in the day. He's got a beautiful Chicago accent, which is
one of the best. One of the best.
He sounds like one of the super fans, which is awesome. And so I was so happy to see him and loved hanging out with him. So Sam, when you listen to the podcast, I hope I didn't say too much about your Sunday, but you did post it on the internet, so I thought it was a fair game.
There's a picture of him on like the moving walkway, just holding on with his head down, like he's barely making it, just holding on to something that letting him slide across.
And there's a lady in the background who has had enough of his shit. Like it's incredible. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
Beef, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, boys. I'm going to go old school with my banter tonight. I got 3 separate little topics for you guys. We'll go through them real quick. The first one is Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys saw. Oh, thank you, Husky. Appreciate you, brother. I don't know if you guys saw the picture of Elon Musk on the boat where he's just like standing there and he almost looks translucent and he looks incredibly fat and just like terrible and bloated. Like he's been dead for a while and like the bloating has started with his body, and it's just like amazing to watch. And I'm showing Mrs. Beef that, and she's like, yeah, it's unbelievable. You can't even believe the guy has 9 kids. And I'm thinking, this man has 9 kids? I thought this guy has never fucked in his entire life. And I came to the conclusion, Elon Musk is leading me there. Women are fucking disgusting because they will fuck anything, including Elon Musk, right? I mean, it's got to be. That's what it is, right? Now, am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know.
MSS, he's like little Opie Cunningham, right? Little Opie Cunningham sex machine. That's who he is, right?
I can't imagine little Elon Musk doing it.
Exactly. I mean,
I love that.
Don't you think that's gross, treason?
I don't think he's human. So I don't know how he spawns. I don't know how his race of aliens spawns. Like I have no idea. So they obviously don't have human bodies. We saw that today.
That's true.
There's definitely something else inside driving whatever Elon Musk is. So like
maybe he's battery powered. I mean,
he might be. He could be.
I would assume
batteries.
I would assume
he was by the water, but I didn't know if he was in the water. And then again, he could just be waterproof. I mean, it might not even affect all of his gears and stuff inside. So okay, Elon Musk, he's gross. Number 2. Dylan Cease, okay? There's so much crying and blubbering and body aching about Dylan Cease not making the All-Star team. And truth be told, I mean, it's valid, right? But really, don't you think he made out in this spot? Like, he's being noted by all his peers and all the fans that he's great and everything, and he didn't have to go to the fucked up Manfred corporate event and do all this bullshit during his vacation. He got to take those 4 days off, go hang out with friends and family, get fucked up every day, bang his old lady. do everything he kind of wanted to do, right? And he didn't have to be part of that bullshit, man. I think it's almost better to be a good snub for something like this than have to go to the corporate retreat instead. What do you guys think?
Isn't his old lady friends with like Ashley Rodon though? Like,
I don't know.
They could have party balls, in LA, but they couldn't because Dylan didn't make it.
Well, he could still just go there if that's what he wanted to do.
Right,
he could
have to do all the bullshit,
he could maybe ask somebody to fly him out on their private jet, like that poor guy from Oakland did. It's like, hey, please, they put me in commercial. But yeah,
I mean, when McGowan's saying he got 4 days off to disc golf. Yes, that's correct.
Send me a disc.
My comment on it earlier when we were, I think it was maybe we were doing the playback or maybe the last podcast, was that like selfishly I was happy about it because that just means he doesn't waste any innings on the All-Star game, right? And he pitches Sunday and then the next day. Wow. All right. Well, the stash is almost here. I mean, we just I don't know how many drinks I need to take for that.
I don't think you have to take any. We just put that towards the stash fund. It's $100. I'm willing to say that if we don't get to 150 tonight, that the 100 will start at 100 the next one. I'm okay with that. I will do that because
I like it.
Is fucking solid. So I will stand up too. I'll do that. So yeah, if we get this,
MSS, let's get Gordo a shirt of some sort.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we're sending.
I got
their choice.
I got his address and doesn't live in Canada. He wasn't the one that bought.
Let's go to his house.
I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna steal a really good bobblehead from my Sock Summers house.
Oh really? You are you?
Can't believe we got to rob my Sock Summer again.
We believe in guns.
The second part of it is okay. So selfishly, I'm like, okay, I'm glad of that.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about it in terms of Dylan Cease, like this sucks for his arbitration, right? Like it would be good for his arbitration. However, like he's probably gonna get Cy Young votes this year, and in fact, he's gonna be top of mind for writers because he was such a snub.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so like the writers are going to be all over this to say like, I'm going to give him Cy Young votes and really, go at the league for not putting him in the All-Star game. Right. So it's a great story. Like imagine a guy winning a Cy Young and didn't make the All-Star team. That is a tremendous story. So I think honestly, it does suck for his arbitration, but everyone knows how damn good he is. It's going to be fine in terms of money.
Yeah, okay. I see that. I kind of agree with the approach that, it would have been good for him, but you're right. I think it's going to make up for it. Last thing, boys, I went to Holu Steakhouse on 21st and Jefferson on Monday to settle the AJ Pollock steak bet. Josh Nelson lost to me in that bet. It was over under 107 and a half OPS plus for AJ Pollock. AJ Pollock was well under that, didn't even come close. So he bought me steak there. Now that Teresa, you've been to this place before. I've never been there.
Did you get the meat paradise?
We did not get the meat paradise. But they had these other options where you got a bunch of different things. And it's kind of a cool experience. Like I'd never been to an Asian steakhouse like this where they cook in the middle of the table. And that's not Korean barbecue. A chef comes out and cooks for you. It's not us cooking. A chef comes out and does the cooking for you. Gets it done correctly. We might have had like a little bit of sushi coming through before then, some oysters. We kind of got warmed up properly, had some cocktails before we even had our steak. But what's one thing that's nice about this is that you get small portions of different cuts. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool to get an ounce here or there of all these different cuts. And then we split like a 6-ounce filet and we were getting in all this stuff. And I really enjoyed it. It was fun for an experience. It was terrific food-wise. Cocktails were great. I heard, Treasy, I heard you got yourself a little ripped up the last time you were there on some of these cocktails. But one downside of this...
Was that a topic of conversation?
It was. At dinner. It was. Well, you had a little too much fun maybe the last time. You were fine. But
I had the perfect amount of fun, in my opinion.
If people are talking about it, it's got to be, right? So, but one issue, though, is when they're cooking right in the middle of the table, and you've had, let's say, 8-9 pieces of sushi, a couple 3-5 oysters, 14 ounces of steak already. It gets a little hot towards the end of the meal for a plus-sized gentleman like myself. You get a little sweat pouring up here. Yeah, a little bit of. And I like to think of myself as a sweaty sex pot, but I was a sweaty fat guy at this meal.
Yeah, Tracy,
What do you think of this this style of steak dinner, man?
I liked it a lot. I wish I could go to more places where they just bring out a whole sample of different things on the menu, and then you could just like eat all the stuff. Like I think that would be awesome, especially if it's grilled meats and they're grilled right in front of you.
Can't lose. Right?
I mean, I'm a little lazy, so I would have appreciated if they would have fed me as well. But you know, what are we gonna do? It's I can't ask for too much. But yeah, the cocktails there are fantastic, as you probably heard about me.
Yes.
My Sock Summer, how you doing, buddy?
So I'm just gonna let Yumper know. Yes, we're $50 away from me shaving my beard into a stash. I am going to let Yo Soy Muy Gordo let him decide what I wear, except for the Jordan. I won't wear the Jordan.
The Michael Jordan's off
stash.
limit.
No
Michael Jordan commercial mustache not happening. So now we're at 120.
And drink.
So we're over 120.
We'll deduct
we're gonna take the
$1.08
other
from that. We'll deduct $1.08.
We're the drink ones are going into that. Okay, I get that.
No, they all go together. They all go together. So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
total.
So we just
it's all total.
around. All right, got you.
Man, you're destined for a fucking mustache.
So anyway, I'm gonna kick it back to Minnesota. Had a great time. I had a great time in Minnesota. Only had two things that were kind of a little off, and I was gonna write a blog about it, but I decided I was just too busy this week. That was gonna be my other thing I was gonna talk about in the banter, but then I was like, if I start talking about how busy I am with my kids, Lopes is gonna tell me to shut the fuck up. Everybody else does it. Everyone's fine. You're not special, so you're not doing anything great. Great. All right, we're $10 or $20 away. This is good.
Beautiful.
Maybe I'll do it this weekend. All right. So anyway, we're in Minnesota, and I don't know if you guys heard. I mean, I know you saw, and then you saw me on Saturday. I got pretty turned up on Friday. I was pretty drunk, and I got home, pretty okay. I know I passed out when I got home, in the hotel room. But I didn't do anything like ridiculously stupid that I was told. So that's good because I spent 6 hours with my wife in the car. All right, we're good.
We made it.
All right,
Stash.
Gordo, send me a DM of like what kind
Roxy,
of stash you want me to do. Thanks, Roxy. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jumper. Let me know. I was thinking I was going to do. Oh, there we go. I'm living large now, folks.
Wow.
I was thinking I was going to do the Hulk Hogan. So if you want the Hulk Hogan, 70s porn. All right.
70s porn, baby. There it is.
All right. I'm going to look into that. Okay. So
Taco Gladiator, thank you. Appreciate that.
God.
The drinks are flowing
Bless
a little
up, baby. Bless up.
Right
Let's
now.
go.
We'll see if we make it to the guests.
Anyway,
they're still hanging on, kind of.
Drunk. Start drinking the Mick Goldens. I don't drink beer anymore, and it's like, or I don't drink beer as often, and so I don't process it as well as I used to. I'm hammered. Go take a whiz. I'm like, I'm gonna go use the potty. I'm standing there in a line. Little kid walks up. My Sock Summer looks down and says, "Hey, if you gotta go, buddy, you tell these. If you gotta go piss, buddy, tell these people to move out of the way and just go forward. Don't think much of it. Waiting in line, get up, go to take a piss. While I'm taking a piss, guy yells back at me, "Hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't talk to my son like that." And I literally look to my right at the guy and I go, "Is this motherfucker talking to me?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I'm talking to you, you son of a bitch," or whatever, right? And he's using choice language. I also, and he's, because I was crude to his son, I was very surprised that he was cussing at me while he's yelling at me. And I go, what did I say that was crude? He goes, "You know what you did. You're drunk," and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? And the guy, I thought was wearing an LA Dodgers hat, but I think he was wearing a Sox hat that was just a blue Sox hat, but I'm not exactly sure. It was a bright blue, looked like a Dodger hat, but I think it was a Sox hat. I'm not sure. It was either Dodgers or whatever. We keep going back and forth, and I'm just kind of like, hey, I never apologized, that was on me. I should have apologized and just said, "I'm sorry that I should have done this." I didn't, because I was like, I didn't know piss was a bad word. Apparently it is. But when you're, cussing at me later, I don't know, maybe it's all like whatever. So anyway, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I finally say, "Just go the fuck back to LA." And everyone starts laughing. And people are on my side. I mean, 100% on my, well, in my drunk mind, everyone's on my side. We're good. And no one popped me. No one was like hitting me or anything. So we're good, right? So we leave, and I come back to the seats, and I was telling these guys, Los there, and I'm like, hey, almost got in a fight in the bathroom. He's like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, let's go find the fucker. And I go, what? And he goes, yes, let's go back over here and do this.
Hang on, let me stop you. This is not how this happened. You're a drunk fuck. You don't remember this. So
I don't.
I'm coming in the bathroom right after this man has probably left. I don't know this guy. Yeah. I come in there, you're still pissing. And you're like, yeah, this guy came in here, and people are still laughing about the incident, kind of like you can hear a couple guys chuckling, and you're telling me about what's going on. I'm like, oh, that's fucked up, you know?
Wait, did you have the whole argument while you were pissing?
Oh, yeah.
It gets even better. So I come in there, I start taking a piss. He's explaining it to me. We're kind of like across the room from each other, but we're talking kind of half turned around, both peeing at the same time. I finish up before MSS. He must have had Jimmy Dugan's piss going. He must have been pissing for 11 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
I'm done. I start washing my hands. Now, he explained the guy is having like an LA hat on or whatever, and he has a kid with him. So my natural instinct, Treasy, I'm not a fighter in general. But my natural instinct is I'm going to roll out of the bathroom here, and I'm going to hang right here and watch for this motherfucker. If this guy is still out here, I ain't going nowhere. We're waiting right here, and we're going to see what happens, right? So I see him, right? I see who I think the guy is. And he starts walking away. And MSS comes up on me, you know, kind of standing about 15 feet outside the bathroom, right as the guy turns around and walks away. He's like, oh, the guy's not here, huh? And I said, well, is that the guy right there? I point to him. And MSS goes, yeah, that's him. And the guy turns around because he hears MSS's voice, and he pushes his kid like off to this group of people. And MSS hands me his beer. He goes, hold my beer, right? So they go together, and they're jawing like they're in each other's face,
apart.
Right?
We're like 8 feet apart.
No way, they're way closer, and they're jawing, right? But there's not like, and the guy starts making fun of MSS. Weight and stuff, and like guy's getting kind of nasty or whatever. I'm just cracking up.
Call me drunk, and I was like, "Well, that's true."
I'm just cracking up at this thing in general. I'm standing there holding this beer. The guy turns and looks at me, and he said, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "I'm laughing at you, motherfucker." And he don't even say nothing after that. His people come and get him immediately afterwards. They're like, "You all right? We don't need to do this." Kind of pulls him back. I was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? What the fuck is his problem? But he did not want any of MSS's smoke. I will just say that. He wanted the jabber and look tough, but he did not want to do shit because MSS is drunk and right there for you. We're ready for you. Pop the guy, and he didn't do nothing to you.
I could have done something. You know, I mean, I'm not a fighter either. But like when I get angry, like, you know, I'm just like, I can snap off. But he was. I remember giving you my beer, and I remember him yelling at you, and then he's like, "Who are you laughing at?" You like, you're fucking ridiculous. And I was like, yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And the whole time I just kept yelling, what did I say that was so offensive? And he never responded to that. He never told me what it was. He just kept saying it. I kept saying it over and over and over. And I remember seeing a lady like grab
White Sox Ken is right. Imagine if MSS had the stash for this.
Right. I mean, it would have been great. I'm
just glad everybody washed their hands.
Yeah. I 100% washed my hands.
Proud of all of you.
You know, I don't know if King Nam did. That's why he's got some crazy ass viral infection from fucking Minnesota. You know, hey.
Oh, easy. Too much info.
They're like, he's gonna lose half his fucking colon like Brock Lesnar.
Now, My Sox Summer, you've already bankrolled this episode with your mustache, but I do need you to pay some bills as well.
All right, let's do this. A few weeks ago, our guy Treasy was driving up to Michigan in his Mazda CX-30 when the unthinkable happened. Right in front of his car, a kayak came loose and started down the road directly at him. Thankfully, his Mazda CX-30 has an overall 5-star safety rating from the NHTSA. His Mazda CX-30 also came equipped with Eye Active Sense that can alert you to hazards, much like a hippie's kayak in the middle of the road, and help you avoid collisions. They come equipped with a smart brake support. In short, if Treasy wasn't in a Mazda, he'd be dead. His Mazda saved his life. It's just facts. So, if you don't want to die, head on over to www.mazdaofOrlandPark.com and check out their complete line of vehicles that will save your life, no doubt. Make sure you and your family are safe when you take that road trip to Michigan. And be sure to follow Mazda of Orland Park on Twitter at ZoomZoomNation as they give away tickets and parking to Sox games on the reg. Mazda of Orland Park, home of the Zoom Zoom Nation. 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park. 708-444-3200. Zoom Zoom.
I love it. I could hear Cornsey from the other room disputing your version of this story, but it is 100% like you said. It's exactly the way you read it. That is what happened, and so I'm sticking by your story here. Fellas, we got some guests tonight. We got some wonderful guests tonight. I'm going to be bringing them in just a second. So,
Hey.
Our first guest is possibly a doctor, probably a lawyer, but definitely spaghetti. From the all sports scene, Celeste Spaghetti. Our next one,
Woo.
Yay.
formerly of 670, now with CHGO, and he's a BMF besides. Herb Lawrence.
Wow.
Yes.
And he showed up.
Last and certainly least, this guy leads White Sox Twitter in haters, Ken War, and tweets at OJ Simpson. From Bad Guy Radio, Ken W.O. All right, I'm adding you all in.
Get ready.
We're going to get going.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Whoa.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Love to see y'all.
You guys don't get any of that money we just got. Just so you know. That's only
I'm leaving.
It's an unpaid appearance, unfortunately for you guys.
Unless someone tells Ken to shut up for 5 minutes, which he does get a cut of that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. It's quite an eventful weekend you guys had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
some stuff
Minnesota's a good time. Minnesota's a good time, a better time than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Target Field is like a beautiful convention center with a baseball field in it. So it
Pretty
was
nice.
it was all right.
You know, we let MSS go on this, Treasy, too. Like, he was dragging ass during the event, man. He was he was a fucking puddle while we're out there glad handing and enjoying the people. He was struggling.
I didn't want to
I
mention
was
how much he
still talking to
vomited that day.
I was talking to people. I sacked up and went to the event, and I was still drinking and did a shot before I left.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
I was still
Treasy
trying to
forced you
drink,
to.
even though my body was like, no, you don't need this. We're definitely gonna get rid of this in 5 minutes.
Ooh.
I was like, I'm
My
gonna
suck
continue
summer.
to do that.
Is it MSS or is it me?
Why?
I
Why do
think
get-
I think he's saying my suck summer.
Okay.
It was when you started talking, so I'm gonna assume.
All right.
it's you.
Well, do some intro.
Take a
Do some
lap.
talking.
All right, you're on the clock, MSS.
All right. I'm on the clock.
We'll get back to you in a minute, but let's get into some White Sox talk because that's what you guys are here for, and we appreciate all of you coming tonight. This is great. I'm excited to get some opinions from everybody. I heard some of Herb's today on CHGO, but I'm gonna drag some better stuff out of him. I feel like he's got hotter takes, angrier takes to give us. So, first half reactions. We're gonna start with first. And the first thing I want is one general reaction to the White Sox first half from each of you. We're going to start over with Celeste. Celeste, go ahead.
Kind of like a fart, you know? Like just but an unsatisfying one because you have to distinguish there. It's just a little underwhelming.
So you like it didn't even relieve any pressure.
Yeah.
It
like,
just
you're
kind of
still-
stunk
there's-
up the room.
There's still more to come out. It's just like just a
You
little
gotta,
teaser.
yeah. I know. You
Yeah.
gotta lay on your side to kind of get the rest of it. I know this feeling, and it kind of actually brings up. I had a question for you, Celeste. I didn't want to bring this up kind of right in the beginning, but for your website for All Sports Scene, your title is editor in queef, and so my question is this: it sounds like you prefer the term queef over a term that I actually prefer. Is that I'm actually smitten with is pussy fart. Now, tell me, why can we like queef so much better than pussy fart?
Well, see, here's the thing: pussy fart doesn't rhyme with chief. It's
Yeah,
fairly
that's
simple.
yeah. I'm an accountant. I don't know how to. I can't write. I don't know what's.
You can't make rhymes, apparently.
I can't talk. Okay, understood.
Neither can Herb. Herb left. Herb has had enough.
It's like
Herb's had enough, which means I got to kick it over to Ken W.O. Ken W.O., first half impression. What's one general reaction to the White Sox first half?
I mean, obviously disgusted. Everybody thought they were going to do better, but considering all the injuries and all the piss poor performances, I'm actually kind of pleased that they finished at 500. I think we're in a better spot than I think we should be. So, you know, kind of okay with it, to be honest, because it could have been a whole lot worse. Probably should have been a whole lot worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, that end little run there, if they don't have that right before I mean, we would be having a very different conversation right now. We'd be talking a lot about selling and not a lot about the division. So I think disgust is a good one. I think we've all kind of felt that.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with what Ken's saying. Like you thought that like, oh, this team's going to be great, but then when you look in hindsight, the offense was horrendous. You dedicated, what was it, about 15% of your starts to Dallas Keuchel and Vince Velasquez, who are both horrible. Like you're a little bit lucky to be 500 right now. Like we got lucky. We didn't get lucky like we did in 2021. 2021, we had really the upside of the variance. 2022, we're kind of getting a little the downside of the variance, but still fortunate to be sitting where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. And when you see that they went through the hard part of their schedule as well, I think we're kind of in good shape going into the second half, surprisingly enough, even though we probably shouldn't be, but I think we are.
And we got some weak opponents coming up too. So I'm excited to get into the second half, but we won't get there for a while. We'll talk about that later. Herb, are you back with us? Can you hear us?
I'm back with you. It's just my phone sucks, and my phone now it's repeating everything I say. God damn it! Did I work at a station? Oh, did I work at a radio station? That's weird. Yeah, sorry. Repeat the question.
So the question is just one general reaction to the White Sox first half, and we've got a unsatisfying fart and disgust, which all kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah,
just shit. I mean, that first half was trash. I know we have a good feeling now because of the results of the last week and a half, but we're not a 46-46 team. Like, if we had this conversation at the beginning of the year, we would have been on like, third place. Behind who? The Twins and Guardians. That's some trash. So, yes, these guys have failed as a unit. The manager has failed, as the general manager failed, the president, the owner, all of the people there. 46-46, while feels good, and we know that we're a better team than the Minnesota Twins and the Guardians eventually. Right now, it's a mediocre team with a mediocre record.
I think it only feels good because it started so poorly. Mm-hmm. Sorry for resetting your clock.
Put
you back in.
To go back in the box. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you
want me to go.
To
oh, I'm ready. No, I do. Yeah, dude, they play possibly the worst baseball in the MLB for being as talented as they are, right, and as hyped as they are, but they're still in it. And that's the craziest thing and the shittiest thing about this whole division is like the division sucks so much that you can play the worst baseball and you can still be in it. And I just have one thing to say, that Steve Stone was totally fucking right, and fuck you and your fat face, Beef Loaf. Steve Stone shoved it right up your ass. You're like, oh, he's so wrong. But no, he was totally right. And I don't want to jump totally on Ken's side, but like, it's just so crazy that when things start working the way they're supposed to, this team is really is okay. It's good. And we'll get more into like what's going to happen and what we need later. But like right now, like when it's firing on all cylinders, it's a damn good team.
But I think that's part of the point, right? Like we've seen it fire on all cylinders for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, right? And the rest of the was been so shitty that just that like little bit of glimmer of them playing like we thought they could is giving us some hope. But like there's no guarantee they come back out of the break and they're doing the same thing, right? Like so I think that's the concern. And I think that's what we'll get into when we get into the second half.
Treasy, in a little snippet, it's like a microcosm of the entire of the individual parts of the roster, right? There's a lot of guys on this roster. You've seen them peak for a little bit, but they can't sustain it. They can't kind of continue on. And the team looks like that too. We'll see but there's a lot of starts and stops. They'll have a good week, and it's like, oh, we're back, and then that was the week we just had right here. That you split with the Guardians, you win 3 out of 4 with the Twins, and you're like, all right, we're back. But we've had those all damn year, and that's kind of like how the individual players on the roster have gone as well.
Agreed. And speaking of the individual players on the roster, why is he sorry for the mute? That's all good. So the individual players on the roster, let's ask around now, who's your first half hero for the White Sox? And Ken, I'll start with you.
All right, since you're starting with me, there's a very few paths that you could take. I have 3 in mind, but I'm going to go the less taken route. And I'm going to say that my hero for the roster is surprisingly Reynaldo Lopez, because this guy has come in all the time and he's done his job, and it's probably not the role that he wants to have in the first place. And he's done his job from the start of the year to the end. He's cleaned up messes. He's settled things down when things were getting out of hand. He's really done a good job. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with Reynaldo Lopez, because this bullpen, the $500 million bullpen, would look like real shit if he wasn't in there constantly putting out fires when he's able to do so.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on this one, because at the beginning of the year, you had people, I can't believe they're using Reynaldo Lopez in this spot. And people are now begging for Reynaldo Lopez to come in the tough spots. Like, I hope they use Reynaldo Lopez right now. It's what a change a half season's been. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure he wants to be the starter, like especially at the beginning of the year. And I thought he should have been the starter at the beginning of the year, but that didn't happen. And I don't know. He's still maximized his opportunities, and he's done really well this year.
100% agreed. Yep.
Yeah, I don't feel like I feel like I know he wants to be a starter. He said that publicly. I'm just kind of getting to the point where I don't think that he's ever going to be a starter. I think they've found what he's really good at. Jimmy Lambert might be falling into the same category as Reynaldo at this point, where you're like, this is probably what he's meant to do in the big leagues. So I like that pick of Raylo. Celeste, who do you got?
I'm going to go with the obvious and say Johnny Cueto. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious because it's true.
Right.
But if someone was going to take Johnny Cueto before me, then I was going to say Raylo. And I don't know what that means for me, that I have a take or agree with Kenlo, but
people low-key agree with I was going to say, people low-key agree with Kenwell more than they think.
Yep. I don't.
Cueto, I love the choice of Cueto. Treasy, the game when we're there on the Sunday when Kopech gets hurt and Cueto comes in out of the bullpen, and we're like, what the hell are they doing here? And we thought, okay, they're going to throw him for 1 inning because it must be his throw day. And he throws 5 innings out of the bullpen out of nowhere. It's like, this is hero ball right here. And we were standing up cheering for him when he left the game after his 5th inning. And it's like, I can't believe a man just did that. That's unbelievable. And he's coming with all the depth that, all the length that you've needed the entire year. You knew you didn't satisfy it with the rest of the roster, and you got a miracle that you're able to sign this guy kind of on the eve of the season, and he doesn't.
Think about how many bums got signed that are not Johnny Cueto. Like, how many GMs messed that one up, right? Including Rick Hahn. Like, Rick Hahn doesn't sign Johnny Cueto if Lance Lynn doesn't get hurt. And you think if Johnny Cueto was with this team actually from the beginning, in where Vince Velasquez was, like, this might be a little bit different on the whole, because you'd have a lot less innings of the guys that you talked about earlier, Beef, which is Keuchel and Velasquez throwing.
Right.
And so it's just interesting that, like, a guy like that could just not get picked up.
Man. Mailman Jack is chipping in for a new Radio Shack mic. Get rid of the Radio Shack microphone for Ken W.O.
It was like $40. What the fuck?
You're just yelling into it. Loaf does that too. You just got to talk into it. Just talk into it. It's good enough.
Mailman
He's
Jack.
excited. Well, let him
I
go.
know you get excited. It's okay. It's okay.
Ken, don't worry about it. Mailman Jack, noted jerk. All right. He voted against longtime 108 guy, voted against me in the 108 tourney. He voted for Alyssa Bergamini instead of me, even though we've hung out 50,000 times, and he's like, oh, fuck Beef Loaf.
No, he's not shitting in my house either.
Yeah, exactly. Keep him out of your house. Exactly.
No longer can poop in Tinley Park.
Herb, who's your hero of the first half?
Well, it's got to be Jose Abreu for me, because even though he was hitting so poorly in April, I think a 215 average, about 300 on base, and slugging for very little. I mean, he really hasn't slugged as he usually does this year with only his 11 home runs and 24 doubles. But he changed his game. He saw that the White Sox needed base runners. And so he's on base this year 39% of the time with a 387. on base percentage, and that is his highest in his career, over 30 points higher than his average. He saw a need for this team to get on base, and he took the mantle up and took, some of those home runs that he usually would hit and took a back seat to, being selective, seeing pitches, and maybe showing he's a leader by example. Hey guys, if I can do it, you could do it, Luis. You could do it, Eloy. You could do it, Yohan. Everybody down the line, Tim Anderson. And this is what we need to do to get more runs on base. And I know power is the thing that makes you win, but he was seeing that power was zapping these guys' ability to get on base, because that ball, I don't know what if they changed it in the middle of the game, that ball in April that the White Sox were hitting with sucked. You saw all those warning track hits. They're trying to get out of the ballpark, and they're still not one of the best power hitting teams. But Jose Abreu took it on himself to say, this is how we're going to be winners. This is how we're going to get on base, by walking, by seeing pitches, and then hitting the pitches that they throw to us in the zone and crushing them. So he's my MVP for this first half of the season, my savior, because I didn't think he still had it into him. Even when he was getting outs in April, he was hitting the ball hard as hell. And he's not even, as Sean and I discussed, not even hitting his best month, which is April, where he's almost 1,000 OPS.
No. Oh yeah, next month he'll be is where he hits his stride. I like the idea of him, changing his game to accommodate the team, and we've seen it before, right? And then that's why I think, and Ken, this will excite you, but it's like the idea of people underrate his RBI prowess, and it's because if you just look at the stat on its own, it's usually based on what's happening on your team. But in his case, it was, I'm the only guy that can drive in runs on this terrible team. So he would let his other stats suffer to try and get runs in, because he knew the guys behind him were, going to get on base 20% of the time, or just might as well bunt, right? Like there was those years. And then that's why it's an interesting turn to see him going, I need to get on base so these guys behind me can drive me in. And that's I like that. I will say for the group, you're all the reason that Dylan Cease did not make the All-Star team. None of you picked.
Herb, I agree 100% with you with Jose Abreu. I know Ken's a big Jose Abreu guy. I'm a big Jose Abreu guy. I remember you having me on Locked On Sox in 2019 to talk about them re-signing Jose Abreu, when everyone out in these Twitter streets, not everyone, most of you in these Twitter streets, like, this is a bad deal. Jose Abreu is going to ingress, including you. And I was talking off the ledge about why it wasn't. And Jose Abreu has been nothing but great. And he's channeling his 2014 Rookie of the Year season. He's channeling his 2020 MVP season. But you're right, he's changing it. I heard White Sox Dave give a great breakdown on Redline Radio about how he knows he can't drive some of those pitches he used to be able to drive when he was a younger man. He's taking them now. He's patient. He's a great hitter. He's just evolving. He's just saying, all right, here's a new game plan. Here's what I can do. And he's one of the best hitters that's walked the earth, one of the best hitters that's out there right now. And so he's going to adapt. He's going to make things different, and he's going to be incredibly productive. And who in their right mind and the White Sox front office thought Jose Abreu would still be the best hitter on the team in 2022? You could tell all the things. just Ken W.O. thought he was going to be the best hitter on this team in 2022. That was not the plan, but yet he's holding up his end of the bargain. He's the best. What's he making this year? $17 million? Best $17 million you could spend at first base for the White Sox. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't agree with the guy. I saw his name there when we were talking about Dylan Cease not getting picked. Dylan Cease is doing what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, he's not like outperforming. And I took this question to mean as somebody who's doing something more than what you expected them to do, and like to become up and just like kind of be that person. And with me for 100%, it's Johnny Cueto, same deal. Like he just came in and it's lights out. So I don't know if I'm supposed to answer the question, but I just did. So fuck it.
I like Taco Gladiator saying whoever DFA'd Dallas Keuchel,
the real MVP.
Hero. And hey, there's
guy
two,
who signed him though.
there's two people that have done it now that he's been DFA'd in Arizona as well. All right, now here's a tough question, only because there's so many choices, and I'm gonna start with Herb on this one. Mm-hmm. Who's the biggest disappointment in the first 92 games?
It's weird to say a disappointment is a guy who plays quality center field and hit that home run he hit the other day, the grand slam in Minnesota. But I expect more out of Luis Robert. He has not performed to the level that was promised, that we all see that he has. Plus power, plus speed, plus glove, usually plus eye, but he's in year 3 where he's still getting struck out by sliders in the left-handed batter's box. Now, lately, he's been doing some better work where he's spitting on sliders, understanding that if a ball starts middle, maybe let it travel a little bit before you flail. And it's easy for me to say as a guy who never played baseball at the major league or professional level, but it's his profession. It's his job to understand how pitchers are trying to get him out, understand that they can't get him out in the zone. So for the most part, they're going to try to throw you out of the zone. And so you need to be smarter about what you're doing to counteract that. So he's had a little peak right here where before he got injured that I was like, okay, here we go. He's starting to learn it. Now take the next step. Understand how to hit the ball outside the zone to right field. You have enough power to do that. He has enough power. And I expect much more from Luis Robert than a 300 average and a couple, almost a team lead of home runs. He should be better. He should be 30-30 every year. He should be hitting up towards 300 every year with his speed, just so the balls that he misses on the infield are still hits. So yes, Luis Robert is the biggest disappointment to me in the first half.
I mean, I think if I hadn't won so many bets when he was stealing bases at the beginning of the year, he'd be there for me too. But he really came through for my wallet at the beginning of the season, so I'm not too mad. But I get exactly where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, there was the expectation of like, oh, Luis Robert's an MVP candidate, and because we saw the glimpses and everything, and he's still just giving us the glimpses. There's no, he hasn't come to fruition on all this stuff and become like the superstar player you're expecting. He, out of the pile of prospects, is the guy who's got to be that real big difference maker. I agree with you, Herb. Like, if this engine's going to go, especially as it starts shedding some veterans in the next year or two, like, it's really on Luis Robert's shoulders to kind of carry that. He's this potential 7-win monster out there. I couldn't agree more. Oh, and thank you for the drink, Comic Punk guy. Appreciate you.
Now, I will say, if he's had vertigo all year and he's been doing as well as he has, I'm good. I'm gonna take that. I'll take it all back.
Rescind it.
Ken, who's your biggest disappointment of the first 92 games?
Well, I know everybody is going to think that I'm going to say Yoan Moncada, but I'm not, because I didn't expect very much from him to begin with. Yes. So I'm going to go with Lucas Giolito, and even though he's not a Ken WO guy, I expect more than what he's providing. I mean, he's done pretty well in his last 2 starts, but come on. 4.69 ERA, 1.40 WHIP. This is a guy that is supposed to, he wants this big, huge contract, and he's not pitching anywhere up close to being up to that. You know what I mean? So I'm going Lucas Giolito for biggest disappointment so far.
Yeah, definitely a rough start.
Yeah, I was going to say this roster is built to have tremendous starting pitching and hit a bunch of home runs. I mean, that's kind of what they're built for. And they're built to strike out a lot of people. They're not a good defense in general. They have good defenders sprinkled in, but they're not a good defense in general. And when one of your big horses lets you down for an entire month, his June was atrocious. Yeah. Like, ridiculous to the point where you thought, I mean, there were people arguing you got to take Lucas out for the 3rd time through the order. And I'm thinking, if that has to become the plan, we're in big trouble. Like, this is something that cannot be a deal. Like, and also, how do you I heard a lot of that, and I thought to myself, how does Tony La Russa manage that? How do you tell a guy who's like supposed to be an ace, you know what? This guy's coming up for the 3rd time. We don't trust you anymore. Like, it just didn't seem like psychologically tenable. And so I'm glad he's starting to right the ship, because you're right. I was freaking out about Lucas as well as that month of June was going on. It was terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Celeste, who has been disappointing you throughout the first half?
My biggest disappointment is Grandal. And I think, you can say so many people, especially on our offense side, are disappointing. But when Grandal went on the IL, everyone just kind of forgot about him, which means he really wasn't like everyone was on the IL for a little bit, and people were like, oh, wait till Floyd comes back, wait till Moncada comes back. And everyone just kind of stopped talking about Grandal. Like, if you're that forgettable, and you're on an $18 million contract, and you're supposed to be, our best catcher and everything. It's not even that Sebi and Reese are like came in and did a phenomenal job. Like they're just doing their job as the replacements, but he's just been he was really disappointing and before he got hurt.
Yeah, if Sebi makes you forgettable, that's a bad omen.
It's an issue,
because
right?
I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before we started the show, but like there's Grandal's going to come back, and if you don't send anyone down and keep a 3-catcher roster, either Sebi or Reese has to go. Like they don't have options. So like the guys that we're talking about that are making us forget Grandal, one of them will likely be cut soon. Like that's not good. That's sad. So yeah, I could see that being a huge disappointment.
No, and especially like this roster is built in a specific way where it needs Grandal, especially as one of its power lefties, because it doesn't have a lot of left-handed power in this roster. Let's put a comparison up. 2021, Yasmani Grandal had 375 plate appearances. He walked in 23% of those, and he hit 23 home runs, okay? So far this year, he has 201 plate appearances. He's only walked in 13.4% of those, and he has 2 home runs. That's like night and day different, awful. There's no way to recover and get back what he had last year. And again, this roster is built to have him kicking ass, top 5 hitting catcher out of that hole, and they've gotten nothing out of it. Like Ken said at the onset, it's kind of a miracle they're 500. And this is one of the reasons I think about Celeste. This would have been my pick too. It's a miracle they're here, getting the terrible production they've gotten from Grandal.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that exhausted our first half of the season. I think we're all generally disappointed in a 500 record for this team. I don't know how you could be happy about it going from what we were thinking going into the season. I know in the last week we're happy that we've gotten back to 500, but definitely if you're asking me what do I think about this team right now, I'm definitely unhappy. I think most of us would be. We should not be in third place in this division. We definitely should not be behind the Guardians and the Twins. Going up there and watching them and play in person again, I'm not believing that pitching staff at all. So I don't know why we are only 500 other than poor performance. And so we will, the Eloy's 74 home runs. Where's that? Like he's been disappointing to me, of course, especially if I would have been able to bet on that. But we're going to get to the second half in just a minute. We're going to get some second half predictions from everybody. But first, we're going to make you watch a guy in a sweater tell you about YouTube.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on a live stream right now and haven't subscribed, make sure you tickle the undercarriage of that subscribe button and get on board. If you've already subscribed and are watching the show, talking smack about MSS's internet and generally meat gazing at Treasy E and I, please smash that like button in the face. If you are listening on the podcast feed and have never enjoyed the eroticism that is the YouTube version of this show, come to youtube.com/FromThe108 and hit that subscribe button. Our previous goal was 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 1,100 plus. That's going to allow us to make minimum wage for about 1 hour per month if we do a full podcast schedule. You just can't beat that. So get your friends, your family, your dog, everyone to subscribe and allow the 108 to fulfill the dream of becoming YouTube thousandaires. I love you.
All right.
It was perfect, MSS, right?
It's horrible, man. It's the same shit, man. It's horrible.
Should I change it to 1,300 plus followers? Because that's what we got now.
I mean, update it a little bit. I mean, listen.
I'm just going to change the color in the background.
I know you said how much it works. If it works, you don't change it, and I'm equally disgusted by it every time. So it's continuing to work. So maybe you don't need to change.
It moves you every single time.
Every time I'm still like, this is so stupid and wrong and bad. Yeah, it's still great for you then. Yeah, good.
All right, let's get into some second half predictions for the White Sox. The team sits at 500. Like I said, they're third in the division. Celeste, who is going to be the X factor in the second half?
It's going to be one of two guys for the same reason. It's either going to be Lance Lynn or Giolito. If they get it together, that's going to be huge. I think that not just their performance, but if they get there mentally, they're such big personality guys that they're going to have an impact on the whole clubhouse, and that's really going to help turn things around.
Yeah, I'd love to see Giolito continue down the path that he's been on the past few games, but Lance Lynn, I think, is so important to turn it around. They count on him for a lot of innings, and they're just not getting it. And him giving up big home runs is not helpful. If you,
I was going to say MSS, you got large thoughts about his impact with his personality, right?
Oh yeah, no, I thought as soon as he came back, they started playing better. Like, and he's joking around, he's yelling at Joe McEwing, which is just ridiculous, and it's funny. And then in just like a guy that can go out there and wear, his disappointment, like he did on Saturday in Minnesota. Like he took those innings. Like he could have just like gave up and whatever. No, he went out there and still pitched. He didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm gonna wear this and I'm gonna take it. Because and my wife was saying, well, why didn't they take him out? Why didn't they? I was like, he can't take him out. He's their guy. Like, he needs to do this. He needs to work through this and just get this out of his system. And he pitched fine. I mean, the ball was flying on Saturday too. So I mean, I really wish that he would come around. And I agree, Celeste. Like, if Lucas Giolito can get back in that mental space where he's looking like the Undertaker on the mound and like just got his eyes down, is just focused and is demolishing people, this team it like gets even better. So it will become more better.
And Lance Lynn is privy to the stake bet number 3 between Josh Nelson and I. He's got to get over 107.5 ERA plus by the end of the year, and then Josh, I have to pay for Josh's stake. If he doesn't make it, Josh pays for my stake. I think he's at like 53 right now, so I got a big lead to start.
Jesus.
So Celeste, if you had to pick one between Giolito or Lynn, only one of them is going to get it together in the second half and really get back to normal. Who are you taking?
That's a hard question. Like, I want to go with Giolito. I love Lance Lynn, but I think the impact will be better from Giolito.
Yeah, if Giolito gets back to being an ace, right? Like if he gets back to that kind of stuff, then you could see Lance Lynn towards the end of his career, them going, okay, we're going to move you back. We're going to pitch you a couple times less. We're going to make you miss starts. It's tough for them to do that with Giolito. So I think that's a great choice of saying Giolito because there's no way around it. If Lynn, what my Sox summer? What do you got to say about that?
It's not a great choice. Listen, we already paid for Lance Lynn. Okay, we already paid for him. The money's out there. We already gave him the money. If Giolito doesn't get it together this year and we can sign an extension at a cheaper rate and then he gets it back next year, all the better. All the better. That's what I'm thinking. That is like, I mean, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm starting to think like somebody up on 35th and Shields. I don't know. But I'm like, listen, Giolito pitching at half mast is still pretty damn good. Like, they can still win these games. So if our offense could come up and like pick up the slack here, we're fine. Like, I don't need that. We signed him at a discount. I got my guy here for a while. So we already paid for Lance Lynn. Let's get him back. He doesn't need to get back, or he can get back on track. Giolito can get back on track next year after he signs a nice extension. Team friendly.
If Giolito continues to pitch like he did in June, I don't want him to sign an extension. I don't care how cheap it is. All right. X Factor for the second half. Ken W.O., give it to me.
All right, so Beefloaf, what is your meme with Kenny Williams? What's the key to the White Sox?
Basically stay healthy.
So I'm putting the X Factor on head athletic trainer James Kruk. He's got to keep these guys healthy because if they're not healthy, they're fucked either way. So they got to keep Eloy somehow on the field. They have to keep Anderson on the field. They have to keep Lynn pitching so he could get a little better. All these guys, Robert has to come back. I don't know what he's got. I don't know if he had too much of a good time with my Sox summer in Minnesota or what, but he's got to lose the lightheadedness and he's got to stay on the field. So head athletic trainer James Kruk, you have your work cut out for you, but you are the X Factor in this 2022 second half.
Just put them all in cryogenic chambers, and after the game, they just go back in. Like, you just put them in there and say, okay, well, when when we play tomorrow, we'll let you out.
I love that because this morning from the 108 account, I tweeted that they've had all these soft tissue issues and they need maybe a professional team doctor. And I put a picture of Johnny Sins. People absolutely love this. Maybe bring that guy in August. If we're not going right, bring him in. And someone said if anyone has soft tissues, he's really going to pound them. So that's what I hear. That's his method, at least according to the internet. I don't know. I don't know a lot about him.
Yeah. What if this guy? What is it James Kruk? I had no idea what his name was.
I didn't either.
What if James Kruk is the guy they scapegoat for the entire season? Like at the end of the season, they're like, only one guy's getting fired. James Kruk, get out of here. It's all your fault, buddy.
Well, I didn't know if it was John Kruk, and I know he doesn't believe in exercising and stuff, but he always stayed healthy. So I don't know.
Well,
he's lifting weights.
He also didn't ever move. So I mean, like. We could tell the guys to do that, but that's rough for the outfielders, other than Vaughn, who can't move.
Well, left fielders don't move anyway. Gavin Sheets, he don't move either.
That's true.
Herbie, who's your X factor for the second half?
As the White Sox have not hit as a team for power, they have been zapped from left-handed power besides Gavin Sheets. Now, Yoan Moncada coming back this past week looked vintage Yoan. He can add a little bit more of the power bat to be a little bit more from the left side and to help the White Sox versus right-handed hitters. So my number one guy is Yasmani Grandal, because we saw what he did in the limited time he played in the second half of last year, where he came back and hit 337, 481, and slugged 674. That is what he did in a short 30-game period. There's 70 games left. I'm sure he'll play like 55 of those games if healthy. I don't see why he can't repeat those numbers, because it seems like in those games down in the minor leagues, he's driving the ball to the opposite field from both sides of the plate. It looks like the guy is healthy again. The knee's not bothering him. The back's not bothering him. He's feeling as good as he can at this point. I didn't agree with the White Sox letting him play through the injury so he can find his legs. They should have just sat him down for however long they needed to get him up to this point. But that is the guy that the White Sox need to go forward this year, because that lefty power bat, I know he's a switch hitter, that lefty power bat will drive them further, because the struggles with right-handers, and especially with the sliders, are going to kill this team. And Yasmani and Yoan and Gavin Sheets need to step up to the plate literally and get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, as disappointing as he was to all of us in the first half, I think, it would be great to see him come back in the second half and be huge. Herb, if we're looking at the 70 games left, and you said 55 of them you'd like to see him play if he's healthy, how much of that is at DH and how much is catching?
All of it. All of it's at DH for me, but I know they're going to put him at catcher. He's a terrible catcher. He can frame, but so can Reese, so can Sebi. Man, much improved. I am very impressed with him. I would keep the three catcher situation for the White Sox. Reese would be the odd man out if they don't, but all three of those guys can play a vital role in this White Sox second half. I know he won't play all of them at DH because we have like 7 of them that need bats, but for my money, we got to have a better catcher. I always tweet when he misses like an easy ball, when he boxes a ball that's middle, and the ump calls it a ball behind him because you didn't catch it. That's costing his pitchers runs. That's costing his team confidence in him that get the job done. When pass balls get by him, the pitches that he called, it's irritating. It's frustrating. So I would like for most of his bats to be coming either at first base, DH, and I know he'll get a couple at catcher, and hopefully he'll actually catch.
He's a catcher that cannot catch, and I've been saying that since he got here. He's just horrible. And like every time he's like running up the line to grab the ball and sweep, or whatever, fucking misses it every fucking time. I'm like, what? Why do we pay this guy so much money? And then in the 2020 playoffs, he had that 1 home run. I was like, oh, that's why. That's probably why. Like he knows how he's going to turn it on later. And then now we hear sitting 2022, and I don't even know who he is anymore. It's like Celeste said, forgot all about him. I don't even give a shit. There's too many jerk off jokes. Like I don't know. I don't even think about it.
He smashed in 2021, but the you know,
Walk.
the defense thing, like the reason why there's such a like disagreement on it is like you watch him try to like block or throw or anything, he can't do any of those things, right? But because we have discrete numbers for the framing part, that kind of like pushes itself up there to most people observing. It's like, oh, well, the framing is good. And don't get me wrong, steal and strike is super fucking valuable. Anyone who bats would tell you that like they would not want a strike stolen from them. But all the other stuff is, I want to say, mediocre to terrible. You know, I couldn't agree more with the crowd here. I do have just one question for my Sox Summer. Do you agree that Evan Stone is a better medical person than Johnny Sins?
Well,
you do? Okay. You think he is? Okay.
100%. He knows who I am, so I appreciate that, especially Senior Sox getting that endorsement in the 108 tournament a couple years ago where he bellowed my name. I mean, we've met. I don't think he'd remember me, and I wasn't my Sox Summer then, but he definitely wouldn't remember me. I'm a little upset that the last our three guests tonight, esteemed, great White Sox people, did not pick the guy who is an actual X factor for the second half of the season. The guy that if does not get hot, does not hit fucking bombs, we are not winning. We're not going anywhere, and that's Eloy Jimenez. Because if Eloy doesn't do anything, we're not doing anything. So just get ready, folks, because all these people can do great. You know, you can do whatever you want. But if goddamn Eloy is not hitting the shit out of the fucking ball, we're not going nowhere. And I'm going to be the first to say it. That guy needs to hit fucking 30 home runs, hit 40. I don't give a shit. I mean, I know 74 is a little high. But I think he needs to get back to those power numbers that we need from him because he's the only guy that's done it before. We need to do it again.
But MSS, the thing is, he's never healthy. I can't put my eggs in that Eloy basket anymore, or the Yohan basket for that matter. And it's not their fault all the way, but still, damn.
I agree.
Every 5 seconds, this some bitch is hurt.
I'm just saying he needs to get hot. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying that's what we need to happen. You know, and I get you. I get what you're saying. Like you're trying to pick a realistic pick. I understand that. That's what I like about you. You're fucking 100% realistic all the time. You know, like, you know, yeah. But
everyone on this panel is. You know,
we were just talking about Evan Stone versus Johnny. But
I'm a little upset that the group. I know we're not supposed to answer this, Treasy. I'm a little upset the group is you know, coddling this guy. This guy, in my opinion, is the X factor. This guy is the guy who needs to step up. This is the guy who was a top 3 pick. This is the guy who everyone was shoving down my throat. Oh, this is the best hitter you've ever seen. And last year when I said, this guy ain't going to do nothing because he didn't play all the way up in the minors. And last year he stunk. And then Beefloaf made a big turnaround and said, okay, I think this year he controlled the strike zone in 2021. He didn't hit well, but I think he's going to come around and start hitting well. And now he's starting to hit well, but he's not hitting well. Like he's hitting enough where it's like, oh, you're hitting enough stuff when it's meaningless. Like, how about you start banging out some home runs when we really need them? And that's Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn, for me, is the X factor. I know we're not supposed to answer, but if he comes through in the second half and hits 15 home runs or something, this team's going to the playoffs, man. That's the guy you need to come through and really start. I'm talking about hitting for power. I'm not talking about hitting 290. I don't give a fuck about hitting 290. Hit some goddamn home runs, especially when you're middle of the lineup like that. Look, you draft a guy third and he has no position. Home runs, motherfucker. That's your position. Hit home runs, all right? And I'm sick of he has a high average. He draws walks. I know, that's all good stuff. But you know what? You can't be the 6th best hitter, man. Be the best hitter on this team. Pass up Jose Abreu. That's what your job is. Pass Jose Abreu up and make us think, you know what? We could afford to lose Jose Abreu. I will cry right now if we lose Jose Abreu because you haven't done it yet, kid. You got to pass him up.
What do we need? Andrew Vaughn getting to first base. It's just going to be a double play. That motherfucker is so slow, and he can't even see. I think his eyes are too close together. He can't even fucking see where he's running to. And it's like, that's why you got to hit the goddamn ball out the park. Just have tunnel vision. You have it already. Your eyes are right there. You got tunnel vision.
He doesn't know what base to run to. You're right. You're right about that. Remember when last year, and we're at games, the picture, MSS, the picture they put on the scoreboard of him looks so ridiculous, and we're like, who is in charge of this? Someone had to have found a better fucking picture of this man. How dare they do this to this fella? How dare they put this picture? I can go on Instagram right now and find 20 better pictures of him, and they put this bullshit picture on the scoreboard. He should have taken this disrespect. He's got to start hitting home runs. That's the man right there.
20 grade scoreboard pick, 20 grade walk-up music. Just awful on those two things. I think the interesting thing about all of this is that we're going around and we're having no problem running out of people just doing their job being the X factor. So I think there's the picture. Terrible. If you're listening on the podcast,
I don't need to see your waist, bro. Like, drop it right here.
You're not missing anything. You're honestly not missing anything. Hey, but Beef, I think maybe the reason that he wasn't brought up is maybe in our next segment here, which is give us all one reasonable trade that you want at the deadline for the Sox. Maybe people are ready to trade him, and that's why he didn't come up as an X factor. And Herb, I'll start with you. One reasonable trade at the deadline.
Well, I just said they have a bunch of DH first base types, but they need a lefty power bat. And I know this guy is more of a switch hitter, but you can only, I would say, use him only in the situations where he bats left-handed. So going to the Washington Nationals and finding some way, somehow, to get Josh Bell. I know he's going to be a hotly contested guy out there, so you might have to give some people that might hurt a little bit, not Colston Montgomery or things like that. But I think Gavin Sheets can go. I mean, I never want to see him ever in right field again. And if he's not in right field, and I got Yasmani Grandal already playing some games at designated hitter, I need somebody with a power bat to get the job done. And Josh Bell has been showing that since he's early days in Pittsburgh. So, yes, it's another guy that's the same fucking right first baseman, DH, and hell, Gavin Sheets can play right field. Put him out there too.
Yeah, I think he's played some left field, right? They've made Josh Bell play left field before.
Yeah, he's played, he
stood
corner
there.
outfield.
Yeah, he stood out there.
He stood there.
Yeah.
He could do something out there. I mean, I like that. I think, the fact that they can't hit right-handed pitching and everyone in the division has pretty much only right-handed pitchers is very problematic. So, I mean, any lefty is good, but, Beef, we talked about this recently, and like, lefty's good, but lefty power is actually what they need, right? I saw even today someone mentioned Tyler Naquin, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, but like, he's not really going to help you get out of what you need in this. And I apologize if either of you had Tyler Naquin written down. I hope you didn't.
Then you could fight about it. It's okay. No.
Yeah, I mean, you could just yell in my face. That's fine. But yeah, I think lefty power, huge need. And if that's where you go for it, maybe. But I don't know what Josh Bell's going to cost, because there are teams that just need first baseman.
Hopefully not too much. I mean, or just like a middling prospect. I mean, the fact that we
Blake
have
Rutherford.
Sosa, I might part with.
Nick Rodolfo, Blake Rutherford.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the question. Any of these AAA middle infielders, if that's enough, then I think I'm totally down with that. I'm not attached to any of those guys. Even Jose Rodriguez, who people pushed way up the list and now is all right in AAA. If someone's going to take those guys, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I don't think it would cost a prohibitive amount to get Josh Bell here to the South Side. I know others will be checking in, others with better systems, but I think the White Sox need to strike on a power lefty bat, no matter what.
Herb, what you just said, you don't think our system's good?
I'm going to get a call from Chris Getz.
Oh, my God. I mean,
hello.
You're really going on a limb by saying that. Let me tell you, that's
don't
tough words.
MSS is right. Don't talk ill of Teflon Han, Herb. You know better than that, right?
He's speaking ill of Getz, and Getz is basically Eddie from Seinfeld. They just keep promoting the guy. Like, I don't know why, but they're just like moving him up the chain so they don't have to talk to him or something. Celeste,
no, you get more vacation.
Celeste, give me a trade for the deadline.
I mean, I've been focused on pitchers tonight. So I'm thinking more in the, Luis Castillo kind of route. I mean, how are we going to get him? I don't know. Like, that's the problem when I was thinking about these trades. Like, who are we going to give up? Anybody that is valuable enough to give up, we need. So that's kind of our problem, because our farm sucks. So I don't see a big trade happening without like Garrett Crochet or somebody big going.
Crochet's broke.
See you later.
I think when you get
drive
into
to the airport.
He's broken.
Because there's
take two.
Because there's so few pitchers out there, that are good that are going to be available at the deadline, because there's just a small amount of teams that are actually going to be trading at the deadline. And guys like Castillo and guys like Montas have that second year. Like, so there's another ARB year for them after this year. Like, it might cost Colson Montgomery to bring in one of those players. And I think this is beef. This is something you and I have talked about when we talk about Colson Montgomery. I think people look at Colson Montgomery and go, he plays shortstop, he can hit, he's a shoo-in. If he doesn't stick at shortstop, he's not that valuable. So like there's a scenario where he's the corner outfielder, and
correct. And you got to really hit.
Are you that attached to him? If he could get you someone big at the deadline, and Luis Castillo would be a big get. So I'm not saying do it. I'm just asking you to think about, what if this guy is not a shortstop when we're talking about it. Celeste, would you drop Colson Montgomery in that trade for a Castillo or even a Montas? We'll say either one of those guys is available.
It depends on how we're doing at the time. I think that's a move you make if this is, our year. It's not looking like our year right now. Maybe we stay on the trajectory we were going on, and maybe it's worth doing that. I don't think I would do that this year at this point. Another trade though that I saw being floated around was for Brandon Drury, and I was like, I don't hate it. Like, he's not the lefty power bat we need, but like he can hit, and we're barely doing that right now. Like, beggars can't be choosers, so
that's a much cheaper deal too.
Yeah.
I don't hate that one. I like that.
That's a good point, Celeste, about where we're at, because you got 12. You're gonna have like 12 days or whatever, 10 days to the trade deadline when they start back up tomorrow, and we're 3 back right now. If we're 1 back, it's a different calculus than if we're 5 back. Kind of, like, a lot could happen in the next 10 days that might change your mind, like where you might want to make a small deals or you want to make that big deal. And I love Luis Castillo. I think that's the best pick. I mean, I don't consider Montas anywhere in the Luis Castillo realm personally. Like, that's, if you want to go get a real pitcher, that's the pitcher, in my personal opinion. So if you're in there and you got a chance, it starts making the decision interesting, like whether you want to flip Montgomery or not.
It's also going to come down to how bad this team right now, or the front office, wants to keep the core of this team together. If you want to continue to put money, you're going to put money into G Leader. You're going to put money into, Jose Abreu coming back. Are you going to do? What are you going to?
He's up. Yeah.
Yes, Cease especially. What's your next move? So if you're going to do that to try to compete in the next couple of years, this year and the couple of years after, then by all means, maybe you do that. You mortgage your future for now. But like, if you're not willing to do that, and I feel like we get in that the front office gets in that situation where they're putting their toe in and then pulling out, then they're in and they're out. They're in, they're out. No, motherfucker, you got to go in or you got to get the fuck out. Like, you got to figure out what you're doing here, because you're fucking with a lot of things here, and you can't be like, well, look at the future and then not focus on the now. Like, this is fine. No, it's not fine. We probably do need something, So I don't know. It's just rough. It's a hard little thing to be in it. Now I have a little bit. Well, no, Ken's got to go first. Then I got a little proposal. Go.
There we go. Thank you for that segue, Ken. Who's your one reasonable trade for us?
Well, I love Luis Castillo, and I've been pushing for him for a long time. If they can work a deal for him, do it now. But the problem is, I think somebody will beat them on an offer, even if we throw Montgomery in. I think he's going to be really highly sought after. For me, I've been also pushing for another guy for a couple years, and I mentioned it on Twitter a little bit. The Orioles are kind of in, but they're kind of out, and they kind of have decent prospects coming up in the outfield, so they might be able to move one of their guys. And if we could get a left-handed power bat, like Herb said, but Anthony Santander can actually play the outfield. So he's not just going to stand there. He can actually catch the ball once in a while if they hit it to him. So that would be my guy. I don't know what it would take to get him, but I know that they're probably going to move some guys, add and sell at the same time. So if they are going to sell Santander, I'd like to add him. And he hits home runs against righties. So that's what we want, right?
He's a guy that seems like he could be movable from that team. I think
Yeah.
coming into the season, a lot of people were eyeing guys like Cedric Mullins and saying like, oh, when they fall out of contention and they're just terrible, this is a guy that they might move to just kind of even kind of almost restart the rebuild to some extent. But they're showing that they can actually play decent baseball. So they're going to be very choosy about who they get rid of. I think, Mancini's on a contract year, so he's going to be gone. Like, they're definitely going to trade him. But then you look at guys like Santander, and they're only there for a couple more years. And on that team, they're not that incredibly valuable, right? And a lot of teams want that guy, right?
Right.
There's
They
there's
got
enough
guys
people that
coming
want-
up that could take his spot. So,
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's movable for them, and I think he would really help the White Sox if we got him.
Yeah,
And
I'd love to
he's
see it,
almost
man.
kind of a nice fit too, because right now at the major league level, they're pretty weak in the middle infield, right? And we have the group of like the middle infielders that are in the high advanced level. Like that could be one part of the trade. Like, oh, okay, we'll dish you a guy who you can basically use tomorrow, while you're waiting or before you sign someone else that lines up in that middle infield and starts helping you out, like, or as utility player or whatever that you can use in 2023 as a real guy. So it feels like a good trade partner as well there.
Yeah, I think so. And that would be my move. Bring him in. Hopefully he doesn't fall apart like all White Sox acquisitions. Hopefully he continues to hit some right-handed pitchers, taking them deep, and we could get rid of Gavin Sheets' outfield glove for the rest of eternity. And that would be good.
I like that. In My Sox Summer, you're fucking dying to tell us your trade proposal. So why don't you tell us?
My trade proposal isn't even a person, though, because even though I am the guy that knows all the players and all the moves and all the numbers and all that shit, I'm not going to go there. We go to the guy that's decided to pick up Johnny Cueto, and we say, hey, listen, it worked first time. Here's the dice again. Roll him again. Who we throw in there? Get us another pitcher. Get us somebody. Throw him in there. See what happens. That's what all I'm going to say. Give that guy the trust. He earned it. He picked up a fucking gem in the rough, and put him out there, and that motherfucker is shining. Please get us something else.
So
that
at
come in time.
like 15 minutes before the trade deadline ends, go,
Yeah.
Hey, just like last time, there's nothing left. What do you want?
Yeah.
Make some magic happen.
What's the best thing here? Grab it. Yes. Come on.
Teresi, I want you to answer this comment Senor Sox put in there. Cesar Hernandez. You told me Rickon should trade for Cesar Hernandez again. I even made a meme of it. Let's go.
People
Tell
keep
me what's
throwing
going
this
on here,
at me,
baby.
and I want to throw back the meme of Hannibal Buress going, "Why are you booing me? I'm right."
The man took down Bill Cosby.
I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny when I was looking. We were looking for possible trades, and I forgot who the national second baseman was, but I knew they were out of it, and I was like, I wonder who they got at second base, and I was like, that actually makes sense, and that kind of makes me sad. They could have just kept him. They could have just kept him.
Incredible.
All right. How far does this team go for the rest of the season? Do they
I'm gonna mute.
get to the playoffs? Do they die in the wild card? Do they win the division? Do they get past the division series? Ken, I'm going to go to you first. Where do you think we end up?
I've been saying it all along. I think they're going to win the division. Even in our darkest times, I was the ray of sunshine that everybody needed to say that we are going to win the division. And I think we're going to win the division. After that, I don't know. I think it depends who we play. I think we match against like Tampa Bay, teams like that. But if we end up playing, Houston again, we might have our work cut out for us in that round again. But I think they're going to win the division for sure.
Yeah, I was watching Houston and the Yankees play today during the day. I don't want to play either of those teams.
Yeah, no.
They're both very, very good. And to the fact where they do things that make the other team look bad. And it's like, I don't want to see that against this White Sox team. Not right now. Maybe if they turn it on and we're going in hot, I'll feel more confident. But this 46-46 version of the White Sox, I'm not feeling that. But yeah, I agree. I think the division is theirs to lose, even though they're in third place. It's a weird thing to say.
Right.
Celeste, where do you think they end up?
Yeah, if they don't win the division, I think they could get the wild card. I don't see them getting past Houston. I still think, I don't think that they're more talented than us necessarily, but they've got it put together and we don't have it put together. I think it's still like a mental game too. Like Houston kind of became our rivals. I think the Yankees are better than Houston, but I think we could beat them if we're playing our best. I don't think it's necessarily worse than their best. So I think Houston's still going to be the problem.
How much do you trust that Yankees pitching staff? I feel like it's, I don't like, it feels like there's magic dust around those guys somehow. Like, I'm not sure how they're as good as they've been.
Yeah,
I was, I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I was going to say, like, the big story is Nestor Cortez. Like, is he going to keep it up? I don't know. And on that note, I also think what happens in our division kind of depends not just on how we perform, if we perform as good as we can, but the other teams. Like, is Buxton going to stay healthy? That's going to be important. I don't know. So that's going to matter too.
I mean, when you look at Nestor Cortez, there's like 3 Astros that I'd rather not face than him. So, I'd rather have the matchup with the Yankees too.
Yeah, and I like that you bring up the mental game because the Astros just walked off the Yankees in a game, and like watching the very end of that game is just like the Yankees have the best record in the American League right now, and they look like totally frustrated that the Astros are kicking their ass again. And I think you're right. There is a mental game there of the Astros have been the big dog for a while. And it's hard to take them down. It's almost like an NBA playoff series, right? Even a team that like they finished third in the conference or whatever, but they're still, they're still the one to beat. And the Astros are number 2 in the AL, but they still feel like the team to beat. They still are the team you do not want to face, at all. So I agree with the sentiment completely.
I'll tell you, if you listen to, I was watching the broadcast today. I was watching the Yankees broadcast, and like that team's great, right? And like, at the end of the broadcast, they're like, this is the 5th time we've been walked off this year. I was like, calm down, buddy. You've lost like 10 games. Like, I kind of like harkened back to like the really good Bulls teams when we'd be like, how did we lose to that team? And it's like the 7th loss of the season,
Exactly. Incredible.
Herbie, how far does this team go?
They're going to win the division and then get summarily dismissed by the 6th seed in the American League, which right now would be Toronto.
Wow.
We know that Toronto's better than the White Sox. I know they played the Boston Red Sox tough this year, but they're the 7th seed if they pass up Toronto. And 14 games in a row, Seattle is the 2nd seed, right, or the 2nd wild card right now. So they had to win 14 games to get 10 games behind the fucking Houston Astros. So I'm not even talking about those teams. They're Yankees and Houston are up in the fucking sky, and we're below ground right now. Like the run differential for the Yankees is 196 more than they've given up. Like we're minus 14. It's 2 different things. We're not in the same stratosphere as those teams. And not even. Even if they play at their 99th percentile, the Yankees have the best pitching, they have the best hitting, and Houston is a team that we see and we wet our legs and the piss running down our legs all day long when we play the Houston Astros. I'm sorry, it's true. We're not good, and that's the fault of your man Teflon Han. And thank you, Big Flo, for that name.
There we go.
When we're in a championship contention window, we're bullshitting with $27 million to the bullpen. And as Ken W. said earlier, Joe Kelly hasn't come to perform yet. You've seen some shaky moments from Kendall Graveman. He's been pretty much diesel this whole year. But when we needed a right fielder or a second baseman, we were fed Josh Harrison, Luis Garcia, Gavin Sheets. That's not a championship roster right there. So until we get serious about winning, until we get serious about upgrading this roster, it's going to be first round exits to perpetuity because it's AL Central is trash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
They're
kind of
gonna get
obvious
better,
right
though.
now. I mean, we're in 3rd place and we're all talking about how we're definitely going to win the division. So I mean,
right?
Yeah, I think Toronto would be a terrible matchup, having to face Manoah and Gossman.
Yeah, that's
It'd be a
rough,
quick
man.
out.
Yeah.
Man. So there were a couple things I wanted to talk to the panel about. And first, I want to go to Celeste because if you guys haven't checked it out, check out the All Sports Scene. You put an article up, I think it was a couple months ago, about players shitting their pants. And it is, if you guys go read it, I will link to it in the blog version of this. But I knew the George Brett story. All right, I think everybody knows the George Brett story.
Yeah.
But one, how did you even source this material? And two, what was the inspiration behind it?
I mean, the inspiration is just me. You guys know by now that's just what I talk about. I'm that way in real life too. I just talk about shit and stuff.
You shit your pants in real life too?
Oh yeah.
Loaf too.
Yeah, no, I've got
I was genuinely curious. It happened. I remember, I was thinking not just about shitting your pants, but Bo Burrows throwing up on the mound last year and all that. I was like, this got to happen kind of often or enough. So I don't know. I'm good at Googling. I just found it all.
That's one.
The Archie Bradley story. I think it's Archie Bradley, right? I'm probably throwing this on someone that maybe
it's Archie Bradley where he's getting ready to come into the game and he goes in. That's kind of similar to me shit my pants story. Actually, when I read that, I was like, I felt exactly how he felt, man.
It is similar, only he was in a rush. That's the thing I always wonder with relievers. If you're a reliever, it's not. You don't know exactly when you're going to go in the game, and even if you do. Now you're having to warm up and things like that. You don't have time for anything like that. You got time to do one line of Coke and then start warming up. And then that's about all you've got. And so that Archie Bradley story was kind of the least surprising thing I've seen where I was like, yeah, of course someone, I figured more guys would piss their pants. I don't know if you've ever heard that Mark Sklarett story about when you're in the NFL and you can't really get off the field, quickly, a lot of guys just piss their pants, and he was just sitting on the sideline pissing his pants, and they had to warm up a quarterback.
No.
And so they're like, "Give him some snaps, Mark." And he's like, "So I'm snapping this guy ball," and he's like, "Oh man, you're really sweaty." He's like, "Yep."
Terrible.
But if you think about it, it's really amazing what these guys do because baseball games are how long, and tennis games you can call time to go to the bathroom. But have you ever heard of someone just imagine Dylan Cease is up there and he's just time out, I gotta go take a shit.
Only Lamar Jackson has had the balls to do something like that.
Yeah.
Just leave the game. Incredible.
That's
Lamar
why
Jackson lied about it too. I was so disappointed in him.
Yeah.
They could fake it what was it, Paul Pierce, when he faked the injury and he had to be taken out in a wheelchair. And then he came back 15 minutes later. He's like, man, new Willis Reed. He's like, nah, you had to shit yourself. You almost shit yourself and you had to relieve yourself in the locker room.
That was doo-doo.
He came back in a different pair of shorts and weighed 20 pounds less. All right, as cordial as this all has been, I have to bring this up. I'm gonna call you out for a tweet that you put up, and you're gonna discuss it with Herbie right here, which is I really appreciate CHGO Sports. They took mostly every idiot I hate and put them all in one spot. That way, I'll never have to listen to any of them. Too bad they couldn't have had budget for Bernstein. Could have been a clean sweep. You have to listen to Herb because we put you on a show with him. But,
I know, and I have a feeling that was done on purpose. Well,
it happened in the opposite order. We had this show all put together, and then that came up, and I was like, I'm definitely
it's gonna be fun. Yep.
Right, exactly.
All I have to do is point to something that I seen from them today about the greatest Chicago players' jersey numbers of all. Greatest player to wear each jersey number. And I'm reading through one, okay, whatever, Derrick Rose, two, I don't even remember who it was. I get to 3 and it's Candace Parker. and I almost shit my pants just like we were just talking about. How can Harold Baines, he plays for 20 years, and he's not number 3? And Candace Parker, who's been here for like 2 months, she's number 3? I just can't go for that. And, perfect example. And Adam Hogue, that tweet was inspired by Adam Hogue, who put out a video package after a Sox win, but it showed like 2 quick clips of Jose Abreu walking off the mound and Liam Hendricks, in the handshake line, and he's like, "Well, you don't even know that they won. What a bad dugout." And I'm just like, the next day, Abreu's sliding in the dugout like he's a kid on a slip and slide. You know what I mean? So, and of course they don't show that one. So that was where that stemmed from. That was a little heat. Of course, me and Herb have our own heat over the years as well, which, whatever. We're cordial here.
Herb, any comment on this? Or you're just like, I don't know. I'm gonna pass.
I mean, the tweet earlier was about engagement. We're trying to get people.
I understand that. I understand
trying to get people to get riled up, and it worked.
It worked.
It did work.
I really.
It worked tremendously, actually. I was looking at it, I was like, how could they have? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not commenting on it right now. I'm going to go through the whole list and line my comments up of who I disagree with.
I really feel that they had number 3. Just for me personally, it was personal attack at number 3 because they knew that I'd be the one that would get pissed that Harold Baines isn't number 3.
Yep.
So I was a little offended.
Unlike Harold, Candace Parker will not need help to get into the Hall of Fame. Unlike Harold, Candace Parker has won a championship in this town. And she was the last piece to win a championship. So I have no problem with Candace Parker. Candace Parker is much better at basketball than Harold Baines is at baseball. Much better.
I'm disagreeing with that fully.
It's not close.
Especially maybe if you take her whole career, okay. But Chicago, she hasn't even been here.
She went one season, one championship. That's pretty good.
One for one, right, Herb?
Well, then how is Khalil Mack ahead of Jose Contreras, who was the ace of a championship team? I don't understand that.
That one, I don't really care. Mercedes is on there too, and
there was a lot of errors.
Mike Hartenstein is sitting at the crib, pissed off. But yeah, it was about engagement. It's about talk about 92. Talk about Bernie Nichols being 92 representative instead of whoever on the Bears is there. We're just about trying to get people talking in community. And as far as the tweet you sent out, I mean, as I always say, I'm not for everybody. I don't need to be for everybody. If I was for everybody, then I'll be for nobody. So,
right. Well,
if
that's
you like my content,
me.
you like my content. If you don't, cool. We don't have to be. There's no one way to fan. So, and no one way to cheer for your team. No one way to be representative for your team. If you don't like it, cool. If you do, I'm all for it. So I am not against people not liking me. That's the point. You should be polarizing. You shouldn't be just going along with the currents, whichever popular way is people think and opinions are.
Now that we agree on. Now you don't have to explain that to me.
You guys are both the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna rub the people the wrong way, and you're gonna rub me the wrong way. Everybody's, I don't like everybody. Other people don't like me.
Yes, feel free to not rub me.
We can all rub one another. Exactly.
And Reese McGuire can rub us all in the Dollar Tree parking lot. Dollar Tree or Dollar General?
Hey, he's a solo artist. Herb.
It's Dollar Tree, Herb. We had that discussion on the last one. Like the Dollar General is not the dollar store. Dollar General has like regular price merchandise, and Dollar Tree is like the cheap place, and that's where he was at the cheap place because. I mean, that's where you can get the little size of Jergens.
MSS decided that he needed everyone to hate him instead of it being flown around.
That's right.
So he's going to teach us about the dollar store versus Dollar Tree versus Dollar General.
Hey, it's about education here at the 108.
That's correct.
Well, I didn't mean to start any fights. So actually, I did, but it was tremendous having all of you on. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good takes here, a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. And man, I just hope you guys are wrong about how far they go in the playoffs, but you're probably right. So
I just hope we're right that that they make the playoffs.
That's true. That's true. And we'll at least get Brandon Drury at the deadline, so we'll have one accurate prediction. thanks everyone for joining. We'll talk to you all soon, and we're gonna get to our thank yous in just a moment. But goodbye to you all. I'm gonna remove you from the room now, and we'll see you soon.
Take
Cheers.
it easy, guys.
Thank you. Oh, look at how beautiful we are now.
I had to make sure I removed the right.
Yeah.
boxes at the bottom.
Kick me out by mistake.
I don't know.
Whoa.
I started
awesome.
with the wrong music today. Like, so I mean, like we definitely we got off to a rough start. So that was fantastic. And
Terrific panel. I mean, that couldn't have been better. I mean, that couldn't have worked out better in my opinion.
And even Herb and Ken were nice to each other about that tweet. I mean, I can't believe how cordial these guys are.
But Herb's a professional, man. Herb knows he's going to ruffle some feathers, and that's kind of part of doing the thing. And he talked about the whole engagement thing, and that's something. If you're out there doing a podcast or doing a blog or whatever, be cognizant of that. If you have an opinion that maybe everyone won't agree with, hit that up, man. Do it. Roxy said she'd like to see Celeste. Celeste had some great takes. I loved having her on here.
She's welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
Celeste is one of my favorite people in White Sox Twitter, and that's not a lie. And when we discussed who we could throw on this panel, she was definitely my number one. And said, I knew she could roll with the punches, and I know she could totally like hit back. And
yeah, no one on this panel was an unprotected
said,
Sox. No one was unprotected Sox. These were all the first picks.
The first choices.
Yeah. So I mean, that she definitely can fucking roll the punches, especially when Loaf is saying pussy farts. And she's not like, oh, God.
What's wrong with that? I don't know.
Oh.
Hey, that's a great George Carlin
reasonable question.
line. All right, you know what, guys? It's time for some thank yous.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beef, you're up first.
I mean, other than thanking our guests, which I'll let you do at the end, Treasy, I'd like to thank Elon Musk's perfect physique and Rob Manfred for making the All-Star game suck so fucking bad I have zero desire to watch it.
My Sox summer. Who are you thinking?
I want to thank the great people that all came on the 108 road trip to Minneapolis. I think it was so much fun to have 100+ people, at the event, and then more at the park. That was awesome. The good people, except for that asshole in the bathroom and one camera guy of Minneapolis, were very awesome to us. And I had a great time, and I love that city. And I'd go back in a minute.
I will defend that camera guy because he turned to put the camera on us, and Luis Roberts' butt cheeks just screamed into the camera, "Fuck the Twins."
Not true.
That
Not
hurt.
true.
That hurt our chances.
No, I said, I go, "Are you going to put us on camera?" And he's like, "I'm not putting White Sox fans on camera." And then he went in this thing. And then Luis Roberts' butt cheeks goes, "Fuck the Twins."
No.
And you want to be on camera? I wasn't drunk.
You're remembering this inaccurately because they turned the camera on us, and that's when he yelled it. And that's why I'm defending that guy a little bit. All right.
Usher Bob told me that everyone's a nice guy in Minnesota except for that guy. He's an asshole. So I'm going to go with Usher Bob.
All right,
that is true. Usher Bob did say that. He did say that. That's true.
I'm just going to go with that.
I'll give you that then. I'll give you that. That's
Thank
fine.
you. I appreciate that. Treasy, who are your thank yous?
Well, I want to thank the guests. The guests were fantastic. It was a great show, and I didn't really have to do anything, which is always my favorite thing to do, as little as possible. So thank you to the guests. That was a lot of fun, and I implore you to go read that article that Celeste did about shitting their pants because it's hilarious. So definitely check that out.
Where's her website? What's her website?
It's the All Sports Scene. So you could just go to her Twitter account. You all know her Twitter account. Just click on the link to the All Sports Scene, and you
Bad
get
Guy Radio.
And the article is in May. The article was posted in May. So
yes, CHGO
Thank you.
is where you can find. So allchgo.com for Herb, and then Bad Guy Radio is where you can find Ken WO, or you could find Ken WO in OJ Simpson's mentions. That's it.
100%.
So one last thing. If you're coming out to the game on Friday, it's going to be on Apple TV. That's a national broadcast. Wear that 108 gear. Fly it proud.
That's
let the world know about the 108, and like we did in Minnesota. And we'll see all of you very soon. Hopefully we see you at the park tomorrow.